Hello and welcome back everybody to the Foodbuild factory, where today we're going to take a look at the Rooftop-Ranger. That's the girl you can see on screen right now. And as always, I'm going to show you some gameplay in the first half of the video, and in the second half of the video we're going to take a look at the perks, mutations, equipment, and everything else. So let's get right into it. What this character is going to be about is we are going to play as a full health, non-stealth rifleman character. And just in case, this here turret, yeah, you can't vets it. We will primarily use vets. Basically, that's the whole thing of the build. And what I want to take a look at here today is something that you guys mentioned to me in the comments. Like, I think it was like 2 weeks ago or something, where I was reviewing basically a two-shot explosive weapon, I think it was. And one of you guys mentioned, I think it was Fallout Museum, shoutouts to you at that point, Sweetwater Special Blend Tea. And as you will probably know if you followed my channel for a while, yeah, I usually don't really like to include consumables into my video because for pretty much every single playstyle there's also some very good food buffs and chems in the game. But I want to really take a look at my builds from a pretty vanilla perspective because you can always improve otherwise. When I make exceptions, it's usually when I say that either a buff is very easy to obtain and maintain, or it actually gives my build a ability that's otherwise not there. And on this occasion, it's pretty much a mix of both. I did know about Sweetwater Special Blend Tea, but I kind of forgot about it. And what it does is, on paper, it just increases your perception. So usually things that increase your perception aren't too crazy just because the buff from 1 point of perception to your vet's accuracy is pretty minor. I think we're talking about something like 2% better vet's hit chance or something, which, yeah, as I said, isn't too crazy. However, the reason why Sweetwater Special Blend Tea is still so good is just the sheer amount of extra perception you can get from it. We're talking about 12 extra perception with relative ease. You can pump it up to, I think it was 20. There's a pretty good video of an turtle where he goes over it. What you would need is you would need to be on a team with the Strange in Numbers perk, the Herbivore mutation, Action Boy, sorry, not Action Boy, Party Boy or Party Girl perk, which increases your effects of pre-war alcohol. And lastly, there's some magazines you can take which still increase your effectiveness of the Sweetwater Special Blend. However, on this occasion, I just focused on the two perks that I found easy to integrate into the build, which is, sorry, not perks. One is a perk, Party Girl, and the other one is just the mutation, the Herbivore mutation, which makes food-based healing items just more effective. And yeah, long story short, what I found is that, yeah, it really increases your VATS hit chance by a lot. And there's a lot of things you can do with that little buff in mind. So mostly you will see people use this in order to make VATS a viable option on builds that otherwise don't really have that option. Talking about heavy gunners that want to use VATS a little bit, maybe on shotgunners or so it could be nice. But what I wanted to use it here is doubling down on accuracy on a on a hunting rifle. And the reason for this is that I always have loved the hunting rifle. I think it is kind of a staple of the Fallout series. And it's always been a solid choice. It's never going to be super OP or anything, but I really like it because it is an early game weapon. Really early on, you can get a lot of the modifications for it just because it's a very common weapon, and it does have a good punch to it. Now, the problem arises when you're using this weapon once you're trying to fight mobs of enemies or tougher enemies. And the reason is that, yeah, while it has quite a punch to it, there's just better options, and especially options that have more fire rate for you. And yeah, I always found that when I was using hunting rifles, unless I was using tricks like maybe the hair trigger receiver or I was using stealth, so that time isn't really a factor anymore. What I usually had a problem with is sooner or later, when I was missing one or two shots, enemies started to really swarm me, and at that point you will get into problems. So I wanted to really make sure that every single shot hits. Now, obviously, it's always chance-based. Even a 95% chance can theoretically miss. So you will miss shots here and there. But overall, with the help of Sweetwater Specialty and overall high perception, combined with all the modifications on the weapon that make it more accurate, you can really reliably hit weak spots of enemies over long ranges. And that alone, combined with the fact that we are using a two-shot explosive version of the weapon, makes it so that it becomes really a viable option, in my opinion. Now, it still won't be OP or comparable to a commando character or something, but I just had a ton of fun with it. And basically, what I liked about it is it's really similar to a playstyle I often went for in older Bethesda games, talking about Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 3. Sorry, Fallout New Vegas was an Obsidian game, but you get the point. Um, yeah, I always liked this marksman-like builds, high perception, going for rifleman builds. Don't really bother with stealth too much because that just makes things too easy, in my opinion. And yeah, I had a ton of fun with it so far. I found it very effective. As you can see, you will not one-shot every enemy in the game. There will definitely be a lot of enemies you will need 2 or 3 shots to kill, but just by maneuvering around a little bit and everything, I found that, yeah, you can definitely make this work. Now, on this occasion, I will try to think about the Assaultron Dominator, and I actually did here. So our big advantage here is that we can keep range. That's basically the best thing about this build. Um, Now obviously we're talking about like 50-50 shots here, but I really want to get this guy out of the game. Sadly, he's currently both using his stealth field and his laser, so it was a little bit of a hassle there, but in the end, we got him out. You just gotta know the game a little bit, but gladly, Fallout 76 is one of those games where very little surprises come around, especially if you're a high-level player. You know all the spots on the map. Yeah, you know where which enemies are and which can be dangerous for you. I found that, yeah, higher concentrations of robots definitely are among the more dangerous enemies. When it comes to super mutants, they can also be a little bit of a trouble, but ultimately they still are relatively easy to hit in the head, in my opinion, and go down relatively consistently. So overall, yeah, very solid build, and really just the range you can attack enemies over makes it so you can get away with this build. And yeah, sure, it's a little bit slow. It's still not the most powerful build in the world, but overall, very solid option, and all thanks to Sweetwater Special Blend, in my opinion. We can definitely use this build without that buff, but it's definitely way less fun, in my opinion. Obviously, you gotta like jumping around a little bit and outmaneuvering enemies. That's just a part of this build here. Just because while we try to be tanky, especially for a rifleman character, which usually have endurance as their dumpstat, um, you're still not going to face tank every enemy. You wanna be a little bit cautious when you're approaching enemies. And especially melee ones, once they can get a hit on you and stagger you, situation can get out of hand pretty quickly. Just in case, by the way, I'm not on a custom world, so I want to get that legendary that I just saw there. I'm pretty sure at least. Um, some rats in the meantime. We can take them out pretty easily. Um, but they're rats, so shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Sadly, proximity looting, as cool as it is, doesn't seem to work all of the time because otherwise this here wouldn't be any trouble. Um, However, yeah, I'm just unable to find that. Here it is. Gourmand's pump action shotgun. Let me just place down my pay to win tent and get myself a little bit more carry weight again. Alright, let's move to Huntersville. What I wanted to say about Sweetwater Special Blend, in the beginning of the video I mentioned how it is one of those buffs that is relatively easy to maintain, and I really mean that. When I was trying to make the build, when I was thinking about it, I thought I would include some of the perks that make it easier to craft a Sweetwater Special Blend. Talking about Super Duper. Okay, on this occasion we were really unlucky, as you saw there. We're talking about stuff like Super Duper, maybe the one that lets you pick more ingredients and everything. But ultimately I found it to be unnecessary, simply because, yeah, the limiting factor when crafting Sweetwater Special Blend will probably be bourbon and honey. Probably easy. Probably it's going to be bourbon, and still you can get quite a lot of it relatively easy, and it holds for ages. I think the buff lasts for an hour or so, and we can check that. Yeah, should be an hour already having it, like, or 45 minutes, something like that. I think you get the point. But all of that didn't really matter in the end, for the simple reason that I found it very easy to maintain a healthy amount of, sorry, I'm a bit slow here, a healthy amount of the tea just by doing the dailies for Sweetwater at the giant teacup, or going to the tea time event. So overall, yeah, was relatively easy, or actually really easy, to keep a good stock of Sweetwater Special Blend without it spoiling. It also goes on for quite a long time before it spoils, so that's not really a big factor. And yeah, in terms of a punch, I went for a two-shot explosive hunting rifle because first of all I had one, which is obviously a big factor. But other than that, yeah, I do have quite a few good hunting rifles, and once I knew that I want to go for a very precise build, using all of what I said earlier, I thought that, yeah, TSE definitely shouldn't be an option here, because it actually hits our accuracy quite hard. As you probably know, that's due to the two-shot effect. It has a pretty severe debuff to your accuracy. And yeah, other weapons I tried were an anti-armor explosive hunting rifle, which is, I mean, if anti-armor doesn't get the job done, you're probably looking at a weapon that really needs some very special treatment or is outright garbage. But still, I wasn't too happy with it. It just wasn't too great. I had a lot of fun, but yeah. Another weapon I thought would be a nice option for this one here is an instigating explosive hunting rifle. I really had high hopes for that one, but that was outright garbage. I mean, I still like the instigating effect on a lot of weapons, and I figured that maybe the hunting rifle could be one of those where it's actually not bad. But turns out, yeah, that was a complete failure. I had a very tough time, and really, it wasn't too pleasant playing with that build at that point. So ultimately, yeah, the one I found to give me the best results was this here two-shot explosive version. It really has a big kick. Obviously, explosive isn't the best against the Queen, for example, or against Earl, but let's face it, at this point, this build, as fun as it is, it's not something you try to attempt to kill the Scorched Queen or something. I mean, obviously, what you can do is you can help out in these events and get enough damage in so that you can get your rewards. That's not a big problem. We're talking about like 15 to 20 hits or something, and you're there. But still, you won't solo any of the endgame bosses, obviously. But to be honest, you're on the wrong channel for that anyways. And yeah, let's see if we can take a few shots from up here. I mean, we have really low hit chances. What we can do is we can actually use some orange mantats in addition to that to increase our bats hit chance a little bit further. But this is really stretching it here. We also have kind of obstructed view from the trees, but yeah, at this point I think we're just wasting ammo, so we will soon I mean, we take that one critical hit there, but yeah, time to go a bit more close. And overall, yeah, I think you see the point here with the video. It's surely not the best build in the world, and you do have to really think about how you approach enemies, but still, I didn't feel like I was getting into too much trouble or anything. You surely need to take a stim pack every now and then, but yeah, it's just very solid, which is basically the perfect build for the hunting rifle, in my opinion. We do use a primed version, by the way, which really gives us a little bit of an extra kick, which is very nice, especially once we're fighting Scorch Beast or so. But I found the ammo to be quite easy to maintain. Firstly, you do use a very common flux, which is fluorescent, if I recall correctly. So crafting the ammo shouldn't be too much of a problem to begin with. But in addition to that, it's one of those weapons that's very ammo efficient in my opinion, so you can easily farm ammo in daily ops, given that the daily op you're doing is right for the job. We're talking about uplink with cultists, for example, or yeah, something like that. Easy to kill targets with uplink is probably the best option you have in order to do that, and you can really within half an hour farm like 2000 shots or so, which will last you a while. Just as a point of reference, when we started the video, we were at 1020 shots or so. So yeah, we burned through barely 150 shots at this point, which is very nice, I would say. Very, very ammo efficient. Okay, there's a level 63 star. Being a level 60 means that it shouldn't be too crazy. Now, another thing you might have noticed is that my crits are relatively inconsistent. That's because, yeah, due to the way everything worked out here, I didn't really have the points to focus on luck a lot. So luck is definitely very low for a Vets Rifleman build. And all I did was using Fall Leaf Clover, because we have a two-shot version, so we have a relatively solid chance to completely refill our critical meter within a single shot. And other than that, yeah, that's basically it. I mean, obviously we do have better VATS crits, but yeah, at that point, that's all the investment we have here. I found that going for solid headshots all of the time was enough to make this build work, and adding in some luck-based crits every now and then was enough. Obviously, if you have access to more legendary perks, for example, that give you more perk points, increasing your luck and giving you access to more crit perks would always be a nice addition. However, I found that, yeah, we were doing fine as it is, and I wasn't missing crits too much, to be honest. We're still getting a relatively consistent amount of them. I would say on average, maybe every third shot or so, we were doing one. And by the way, the Vampire's Deathclaw Gauntlet is not the worst in the world, but yeah. While I see it here, if you made it to this point of the video here, serrated revolutionary blade I just saw. Don't pay fucking legacy weapons for revolutionary swords without a blade at the moment. They aren't legacy. There's an active glitch that makes you able to craft these. Just craft revolutionary swords, and you have the option to modify it with no upgrade. So I've seen that a little bit online, where people trying to get really good offers for these kind of weapons, which is just, yeah, you can do it for yourself currently. Anyways, as it is dawn and we will see sunlight a little bit, I think you got the point. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay part of the video so far. I really had a lot of fun for a hunting rifle video, which was something I really didn't expect, to be honest. But I really hope you give it a shot. And yet again, thanks again for the Sweetwater Special Blend tip. And yeah, let's take a look at the at the build itself. Firstly, taking a look at our effects here, we are still under the influence of Orange Mantats here, 5% and VETS accuracy plus 10%. It's now gone. So yeah, now you see what we were doing through the majority of the video. Basically, what we are working with is the Sweetwater Special Blend. You can see there, plus 12 perception, bringing over our overall perception to 37. which is really nice. Uh, Pretty high. Obviously, you can get way higher with a bloody build, but that's always the case. And yeah, in terms of our mutations, we do have Bird Bones, Eagle Eyes, Egghead, Herbivore, Marsupial, and Speed Demons. So pretty bare bones vets mutations. Bird Bones and Eagle Eyes, extra agility, extra perception, and crit damage, all very beneficial, especially the perception is obviously what we want to have here. Then we do have Egghead. This is just a, yeah, give or take. You don't need it, it doesn't really add anything to the playstyle. It's just because, yeah, our debuffs, we already have quite a hefty debuff to our strength. That's our dump stat, so minus strength doesn't really affect us. Minus endurance, that was a little bit of a bad debuff here for us because yeah, we actually trying to be relatively tanky for once with a rifleman build, but ultimately yeah, -3 wasn't too crazy here, and overall the benefits from the perks we use are more important than the uh, extra HP from endurance. So yeah, sadly we have to live with that, but as I said, you can easily make the build work without Egghead. Sorry. Then we do have Herbivore. This is one of the corner pieces of this build here because, yeah, this is where the magic kicks in when it comes to the Sweetwater Special Blend, making it 2 times as beneficial. So rather than giving you 2 perception, it gives you 4 now, and we can triple that with a perk that I will talk about later. Then we do have Marsupial, jump height, carry weight, always nice, but especially on this occasion I found that I was actively using Marsupial jumps in order to avoid enemies, avoid damage, and get up to high positions from where I can snipe. So while it is always a nice idea to have Marsupial and I would never want to live without it, I found it especially useful in this build. And lastly, we do have Speed Demon, quite obvious, faster reload speed, faster movement speed. Movement speed obviously is nice, faster reload speed very beneficial on this occasion since we do have relatively small clip size, so we find ourselves reloading often, and yeah, that's why it's good. Then we go over to our equipment, and here it is, our two-shot explosive with 1 extra perception hunting rifle. So in terms of modifications, this one is interesting because it's very different to what I would usually do. Firstly, we do have a prime receiver. Now that's not the extraordinary thing I want to focus on. Already talked about it. Gives us more damage, makes us use ultrasight ammo, but I found it easy to maintain. And overall, yeah, just gives us a better kick, especially against scorched enemies. Then we do have an aligned long barrel. In terms of the barrel, I just found that, yeah, I wanted to have something that gives me a lot of range, and aligned also gave me good accuracy here. So, yeah. Then we do have a forceful stock, which I choose in order to firstly make the condition of the weapon better, and at that point it's very good. We don't have gunsmith or anything, and we lost like 30% condition during the video, which is great in my opinion. Um, and in addition to that, it also boosted our accuracy and our range a little bit. Then we do have a piercing magazine giving us extra armor penetration, which is very nice, especially since we are splitting our damage between 2 projectiles. So overall, we are decreasing our armor penetration potential with this weapon. And yeah, piercing magazine combined with the 10 killer perk, which we will see in a minute, makes it so that doesn't affect us too much. Then we do have a long night vision scope. It's one of the long scopes that basically just gives you best accuracy. I think there might be a bit of a difference when it comes to recon scopes. They may have one more accuracy or something, but nothing too crazy here. Um, this does increase the amount of AP we do use, but what I found is that the hunting rifle is one of the most AP efficient rifles in the game, so you really don't need to focus on all aligned stuff. It's just not necessary for once, which is nice. And lastly, we do have a compensator, a modification I really rarely use just because on a lot of weapons where this is an option, you also have the option to go for a suppressor, and at that point, you're probably always better off going for a stealth build. So if you're going for a stealth build, compensators are out of the way anyways. And oftentimes, yeah, they aren't really necessary just because they reduce your range a little bit. They add weight to your weapon, which is never the best thing in the world, and ultimately just give you a little bit more accuracy in all reality. So yeah, usually I don't use it, but on this occasion I went with it, and also I like how visually it changes the weapon. So yeah, I found it a good decision, but you could definitely live without it. And yeah, that's it about the weapon. Very nice, really like it. And let's move over to our armor here. Very straightforward. We do have a set of Vanguard's combat armor with one weightless piece, and all of them have a P refresh on them, so that's obviously overkill. Like 3 pieces with the powered gear would be nice, but I really just love this armor set. As you can see there, 2 pieces are broken, so currently, yeah, not the greatest in the world. We can just quickly repair those in order to see how our uh, resistances look with a full set, with full health, around 400, both damage and energy resistance, very nice, really helps us being tanky in addition to our relatively high perception that you'll see in a second. In terms of apparel, we do have shielded long johns, extra perception and agility, very straightforward here. I think that's not a surprise to anyone. And yeah, with that being said, we're taking a look at our perks here. We do have Bandolier, just to reduce our ballistic weapon weight, also pretty straightforward. And then we come to probably the most important stat here, Perception at 15. We do have Rifleman at rank 2, all of them. Then we do have Tank-Killer, Ground Pounder, and lastly we do have Concentrated Fire at rank 3. I went with this combination just because I really wanted to have the best reload speed with Ground Pounder. Concentrate Fire at rank 3 was given for me just because it fits so well with all what we go for here in terms of precision, meaning that, yeah, you really, if you miss a shot, you really get a large boost in order, a large boost to your accuracy for the following shot, and that's why it's there. Tank Killer, I just mentioned, since we are using a two-shot weapon and already are splitting our bullets in two, meaning our damage in two, we do lose armor penetration in the process. And yeah, Tank Killer definitely a good option here. And that left us with, yeah, rank 2 of all of the Rifleman perks. I mean, obviously, in an ideal world, I would love to have them maxed out as well, just to give us yet a little bit more damage, but, you know, I think we were doing fine. Then we go over to Endurance. We do a Photosynthetic, giving us a little bit of health regen during the daytime. You haven't seen this in effect for long, or for a, yeah, big portion of the video. I think we were at night, but yeah, by the end now we had this little bit of health regen, which is nice to have. Hardly the best perk in the world, but I just liked it. Then we do have Adamantium Skeleton. This is very straightforward because I don't want my legs to be crippled, so I can always stay on the move and basically avoid enemies. Cola Nut. This is not especially important, but I just liked it because, yeah, you can use stuff like Nuka-Cola Quantum to heal yourself or something. So yet again, there would be other options that you can take here, but I went with Cola Nut just to give me a little bit of an alternative healing option. And in addition to that, yeah, if you ever run out of your AP and find that 5 pieces of powered gear aren't enough, you can also chuck a Nuka-Cola Quantum and refresh them even faster. And lastly, we do a fireproof. Always there, always a good decision to have it, unless you have a dense chest piece. But yeah, especially with a two-shot explosive version weapon. I mean, you wouldn't really be in danger to kill yourself all the time, but you definitely do damage to yourself. And as you've seen during the video, we are already soaking up kind of a lot of damage during our gameplay. So we don't really want to add to that ourselves. And then we go to Charisma, which is unusually high for my builds at 10. Now, what's not so unusual is Lone Wanderer and Tenderizer. You will have seen this combination very often. Tenderizer, pretty beneficial here, giving us 20% multiplicative damage after our first shot. So everything we don't one-shot, we mostly two-shot. Um, yeah, pretty straightforward due to the two-shot effect. This 10% multiplicative bonus is given to us twice. Then we do have Lone Wanderer, 30% faster AP refresh, doubling down even more on that. And yeah, more tankiness, which, yeah, as I said in pretty much every video for the last half year, um, apparently this 20% less damage doesn't work, but I don't really care. I'm having the perk for the AP refresh, and yeah, if the tankiness is there, nice to have it. And then we come to yet another cornerstone of this build, Party Girl here. The positive effects of pre-war alcohol are tripled. This, combined with the Herbivore mutation, makes it so that our Sweetwater Special Blend tea gives us 12 extra perception rather than 2 because it's multiplicative with the Herbivore mutation, meaning that um, 2 perception times 2 makes 4, and this times 3 makes 12. As long as my math's correct, but I think it is. Then we do have intelligence at 8. We do have demo expert. Pretty straightforward. We want to boost the capability of our explosive portion of the weapon. On a two-shot explosive version, it's actually quite worth it. Um, I also use demo expert oftentimes on other explosive weapons, even though it's giving you very little in return for 5 perk points, but ultimately it still boosts your damage a little bit, and on a two-shot explosive version, it's even a little bit more um, potent, let's say. Then we do a first aid just because I had a few points left. I could have put them into luck, but I found that, yeah, 3 points were better invested into a little bit more intelligence and especially in first aid just because, yeah, as you saw, um, taking damage definitely a part of this playstyle. You can't really avoid it, and so you will use stimpaks all of the time. Um, they are kind of plentiful, so you can definitely live without first aid. But I found with it, it's really balanced. Like usually you take a stimpak for a fight, let's say it like that. Then we do have agility, which is at 15. We do have action girl, further doubling down on what I said earlier with lone wanderer and our power pieces. Then we do have evasive. Just because we do have such a high amount of agility, I wanted to have this in order to even further boost our defense, our resistances a little bit. Now this might seem a little bit overkill, as you mentioned, as you've seen earlier, we are over the point of diminishing returns when it comes to our resistances. But keep in mind, a lot of it comes from the Vanguard's effect. So once we are at half health or something and don't really get anything from that effect anymore, we would start taking damage very fast unless we have evasive here. Then we do have Gun Fu at rank 1 just for the gimmick of switching enemies after a successful kill in bats. So that's always there. It's a pretty nice perk. I like it. Although I found, yeah, higher ranks weren't really necessary. I found myself relatively rarely going to going over more than 2 or 3 enemies in one single VATS round. And if I did, we were talking about ghouls or so that go down in one shot anyways. Then we do have White Knight just because we are always in danger, always being shot at. Yeah, it's just a convenience thing. Some people just swap it in to repair their armor cheaper, but I also like to just don't have to repair it as often in the first place. So that's why White Knight is permanently baked in here. And lastly, we do have Adrenaline at rank 5. This shouldn't be no surprise to anyone. It's always a good effect if you have the points for it. Unless you have something so powerful that you can actively say you don't need it, it's always a good choice. And lastly, we do have Luck. Better criticals, Four Leaf Clover. I already told you about this combination I went with here just because, yeah, I didn't really have enough points to go all in on Luck. Basically, what usually would be luck in this build went into charisma and endurance, which is way higher than it usually is. So I think you get the point here. I just had to make the sacrifice of luck, but still found that due to the two-shot effect on the weapon, Four-Leaf Clover is relatively consistently giving me crits. Although, yeah, more crits would obviously be better, giving us more damage output, especially noticeable once we're fighting super mutants probably, where I really found that, yeah, crits were the way to go. But yeah, in most situations I found that this was enough for us. And lastly, we do have Starch Genes, which, yeah, yet again, not a surprise to anyone. We just need it in order to keep our mutations and not get any new ones. And that leaves us with legendary perks, and these are very, very boring on this occasion just because all of them give me extra perks. The only one that actually increases my passive benefits from something, meaning that it boosts our stats over 15, is perception, boosting it from 15 to 17. Sorry. The rest I actually use in order to get more perks, which is kind of necessary for this build in my opinion. I couldn't make it do without something else. As you can see there, we are talking about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 5 on top of that, 15 perk points. And yeah, try to get 15 perk points out of this build here without making a lot of sacrifice. It's hardly going to work out. So yeah, definitely one of those builds that only works when everything comes together. Talking about the right equipment, right buffs, right legendary perks and everything. But once everything is said and done, I really enjoyed it. Really nice build. I had a lot of fun with it, and it really satisfied me more than I thought, just because it gave me like a little bit of old school Fallout vibes. Um, it's just a kind of build I haven't really done or enjoyed before in Fallout 76, and this time around I had a lot of fun with it. So yeah. Anyways, yet again, thanks for the tip with Sweetwater Special Blend, and see you next time, guys. Bye.